Alright, folks, we are back, and this is apparently actually round 7. I was confused how my round numbers got fucked up, but I remember that before Baku happened, which was actually round 6, not round 5, round 5 was supposed to be Imola for the San Marino Grand Prix, and that got cancelled because we didn't have enough people for the race. Apparently there's a rule where if 10 people don't show up for the race, it doesn't happen. Which, to be honest, I don't agree with that rule at all, because it actually benefits the people that don't show up and punishes the people that did show up greatly, because not only did they waste their time practicing for the race, they wasted their time showing up for the race, and then they actually lose points because of it, because they don't get the points that they would have gained on their competition for showing up. And this isn't just this league. You guys have heard me talk about this in other leagues in the past. I've done videos for this where I just don't agree with that at all. I don't care if 2 fucking people show up for your race. You should have it and reward the people that actually showed up for the race that they said that they could show up for before the season even started. So, and yeah, I was also upset about because something I've talked about in last year's F1 game is that the main reason that pad is severely disadvantaged to wheel players is because of the steering saturation. You can't turn left or right quickly on pad before this year's game. Now, sadly, in this year's game, they made force feedback fucking terrible. Well, they did that in last year's game as well, but they made it's just equally as bad in this year's game. So, I mean, we gained the ability to turn left or right quickly, but lost force feedback. Fucking great, you know. Anyhow. So yeah, that basically made Imola drivable for pad players in this year's game, and it made me remember why I used to love the track back in the old F1 games. It's just a really fun track to drive, but when you can't turn left or right quickly, it literally made it literally made it impossible on pad. For reference, I remember in F1 22 that the difference between the fastest pad player in the world to the world record time on time trial was over 9/10. It was literally unplayable for pad players. You didn't stand a fucking chance. And on this year's game, you do stand a chance because you can turn left or right quickly. And I actually, if you go by time trial rankings, was the best I've ever been going into an SRL race in my career. I was at one point in the 60s in terms of my world rank. I was quick as fuck on the track. I had a race setup where I found some tech to help with how the car would feel under braking on the race. Kind of the same thing I found with Azerbaijan. I was feeling myself going into the race, and of course that's the one that gets fucking canceled. So it is what it is. And today you can see here, now we are on round 7. We are here at Abu Dhabi, a track that I've always loved. It's a very unique track. I think it's really underrated in terms of league racing. There's room to overtake, there's room to break away from cars that you're faster than, and it has that cool aesthetic to it as well. I do not see what people's problem with this track ever. And yeah, I was feeling pretty good going into this race as well. Maybe not as good with the race setup, but I do know that it's still a decent race setup overall. But I know I'm just quick on this track in terms of my race pace. I do a really good job of kind of like in Azerbaijan, limiting rear slip to maximize the tire life throughout the entirety of the stint, and I'm just really consistent on this track. So I was really favoring myself going into this race, which is good considering we're coming off of, even though Imola was canceled, we were looking better better leading into that race than I've ever looked going into any SRL race ever. We won at Baku. Things are turning up pretty good. So we put in a decent first lap in qualifying, good for front row, and we will fast forward to see how we do in our second run in qualifying. All right, and we pull it very far forward here in qualifying. We are going out earlier to make sure that we have space and we are not held up by other cars in qualifying, which that's always terrible. You can see from the very first corner of the lap, we are gaining time on ourselves, which is always a good thing. Heading into this braking zone, it's really easy to brake too late. You'll feel like it's a good line because you can get away with braking really late, but it just makes it so you don't carry as much speed through the corner, and you really want to maximize the amount of speed you carry through the long corners on this track, because it's easier to get the full throttle quickly when you're already going faster than if you're going slower. So that's why you really want to just carry as much speed through the corners as possible, using all of the track on the exit of that chicane there to get the full throttle quickly. The curves do have a lot of grip. You want to keep this corner nice and tight on the inside as much as possible. I did not do a good job on that corner at all. I should have been hugging it way tighter on the inside. Brake earlier than you would think for this corner so you can get a good early turn in. Take all of the curb, but start your turn in earlier than you would anticipate on the double left-handers. You see we're up a tenth and a half right now, and going into the final corner, you can see it goes up to 2/10 almost, but yeah, we're going to come across the line. Tenth and a half improvement, but not good enough for pole position, but just a good solid lap overall, and that's why I was feeling good going into this race, because that felt like a very comfortable lap to me. You see like no big mistakes on any of my 2 qualifying laps so far, just good, solid, consistent, and I felt this way both in my qualifying pace and my race pace. We would go out for a third run here, and I'm only showing the end because it was the same, pretty much the same exact lap that I did on the previous one. You saw me getting very aggressive on the throttle there, but you remember on the long left-hander, I just didn't take an optimal line through there, and I lost a little bit of time. I hugged it just a little bit closer on that run, and so I was able to gain half a tenth right there. Just did the same thing on the rest of the lap. Got a good improvement. You can see the gap between me and Jensen is big, half a second between the front row and the rest of the grid. So again, it looks like it's just going to be a 2-car race, which I am totally fine with. And yeah, we're looking good going into this race. We always get good grid starts, so front row start is almost just as good as pole position for me. So we're looking good going into the race. All right, now heading into the race, starting on the medium tires, and we get a poor launch. We actually under throttle the car, and we got the McLaren coming to our outside. We brake early. He turns into us, and that is us out of the race fucking immediately. I mean, I don't even know what else to say about it. It's just terrible luck for us once again. We just get turned in on. I mean, what more is there to say? One corner into the race, we get turned in on, crashed out, absolutely no fault of our own. Everyone would have a bad race. Even Jensen would have a mistake. Well, he would get involved with an incident with the McLaren as well. So it sucks because in hindsight, like if this doesn't happen, we win the race easily in hindsight. After seeing what happened in the race and after doing multiple practice race runs, and I made no mistakes in any of them, given I don't make mistakes again, it would have been another clear win. And spoiler alert, like always, if someone crashes me out, he was not given a penalty for this. I was told, I appealed the penalty, and because the reason that he was not given a penalty was, quote, he left space on the outside. You can clearly see there is not a car's width there. Not only that, but look at the angle of his car. He just turned in on me. It's way too sharp. He did not leave space for me, but it negatively affected Logan, so no penalty there. We lose the race, absolutely no fault of our own. So yeah, short video for you guys today. This one fucking sucked, but it's just another day in the life of Logan League racing again, I guess. So yeah, see you in the next one.